A lot of big stories here in baseball. Let's start first of all with the Padres. Pretty good roadie. They win 5 of 7 in Atlanta and Cincinnati. Wasn't pretty, but they got the victories, which prevented them from sliding further away from the Dodgers. It came at a price. They lose Xander Bogaerts, fractured shoulder. Luckily, no torn labrum. Scary injury. You don't come back from those things real quick. Probably out 2 months. They're trying to find the right mix now. Who should play second base? Is it super utility guy Tyler Wade, he's contributed a lot? Is it Luis Arraez, who's hitting 419? 419 as a Padre. Is it Cronenworth shifting over? And then, of course, who goes to first? Another insurance policy acquisition. First, it was Donovan Solano, the second baseman. Now it's Daniel Peralta. Great acquisition. If he can hit back to what he was just a couple of years ago, he's coming off shoulder surgery, 279 career hitter. And then we got Friday, Saturday, Sunday baseball at the Yard, and the Padres have stacked the rotation. Dylan Cease, Hugh Musgrove against Murderers Row and the batting order that the Yankees are bringing to town. This is going to be a fascinating weekend of baseball. I think it's kind of like a litmus test. How really good are the Padres? Are they a 500 team, or is this the team that punched the Dodgers in the mouth a couple of weeks ago? And can they do the same thing against the second best team in Major League Baseball? And then the sidebar question, when he steps in the box with his .315 batting average and his 13 home runs, do you think Padre fan will cheer or will they boo Juan Soto? So, John, while you were drinking Guinness beer in Ireland and running the streets with the Bulls in Spain, your thoughts on the Padres winning 5 of 7, the injury, and what this weekend means?
Well, I mean, they had a great road trip. You got to love that. I mean, coming off beating the Braves 3 out of 4 and then the Reds 2 out of 3, that's fantastic. Now, the Yankees come to town, like you say, it's a litmus test. I bet you money the fans are going to boo Juan Soto. And I'm not sure if I really agree with that, because he was the best player on the team last year. And really
for 4 months. Now, prior to that, nah.
But still, he was like had an OPS over 900 for the season. It's going to be a great series. And it's a shame, though, that Michael King doesn't get in the shot at the Yankees because he would love to go up against his former team. But if you've got Darvish and Musgrove and Cease, 1, 2, 3, this is a great test. Now, as far as what to do with Xander being out, boy, what a disaster season that is. I play Cronenworth at second. I mean, Cronenworth is fantastic defensively. Arraez is just sort of okay defensively.
I don't know that he's okay defensively at first base, though.
Well, yeah. So it's in my opinion, yeah, maybe keep Arraez, keep him as DH. And then, Tyler Wade is your Swiss Army knife. He can play anywhere. And then if you want to put Arraez in the field, then I think Peralta should be your DH or Solano.
Yankees come to town. I am amazed that they have the second best record in Major League Baseball. When you consider no Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon had not done anything for 2 years because of injuries. Now he's having a good season. That's a surprise. Nestor Cortez had a good rookie season and got hurt at the end. They found this kid, Luis Gil, struck out 14 the other night. He's come out of their farm system. And Clark Schmidt, the other pitchers pitched really well. I was one of the guys that said Padres should have gotten Clark Schmidt as part of the Soto deal. But the Yankees are just hammering it. And it's just not Soto. I mean, Judge is hitting 276, and he's got maybe 15 bombs. Giancarlo Stanton, who's had a history of injuries ever since he got there from Miami, is hitting like 245, but he's got 12 bombs. You got Verdugo, the ex-Red Sox, hitting home runs. Gleyber Torres, the young infielder, has got power. They just got a lot of different people that can do a lot of different things. It's more than just the Murderers Row big home run hitters. They got a lot of guys that contribute.
Yeah, they do. And this will be a great test for them. But, the Yankees are well over 500. So that means the Padres have a good shot here because they play well against the top teams. So I think it's going to be a terrific series, a great test for the team. And anytime the Yankees come to Petco Park, it's always going to be a lot of fun. You're going to get a lot of fans. The place is going to sell out. It's going to be a lot of energy out there.
A lot of people wearing pinstripes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they're going to come out of the woodwork. You know it.
Oh, yeah. Now you're a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
I saw your transcript at UCSD, 3.94 GPA.
Maybe.
Can you please explain to me how the Padres could be 10-16 at home, have 17 road wins, hit 232 at home, but hit 263 on the road. Home ERA 4.40, road ERA 3.15. Smart guy. Explain how bad it is, why it's that way at Petco versus when Padres go on the road.
No, if you try to apply reason and logic to this whole thing, it just drives you crazy because it doesn't make any sense at all. So, if you go by the numbers, we have a good shot against a winning team. It's the Yankees coming to town. But you know what's probably going to happen? The San Diego sports curse. Trent Grisham is probably going to get to bat, and he's going to hit a bomb and probably beat us. I mean, that's usually how those things go.
He's hitting 056.
Yeah, but when he plays the Padres,
he's not playing.
But you suspect something's up.
Okay, so we got that. Hey, Fans Forum is open for Padre fan. If there are any Yankee fans, jump into the chat box. You tell us, litmus test Padres, how really good are the Yankees? Your thoughts, Padres, Yankees. What a, quote, great sports weekend this is going to be down at Petco Park. Let's move on. Dodgers storyline. Dodgers hot. Dodgers have not hit a little bit. Pitching is carrying them right now. Yoshi Yamamoto had the bad start, South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Last 9 starts, 2.39 ERA.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. Walker Buehler, long process coming back, couple of shaky outings. Last outing, 6 shutout innings, no runs allowed, clocked at 95. Now, that was last outing. We'll have to see if he follows that with the next outing. Third guy, Dustin May, now beginning rehab starts, minor leagues. Could be here July 1st. So suddenly the Dodgers' infusion of the injured pitchers coming off the roster. It is interesting, though. Their batting order has cooled down. Outside of Ohtani, some other guys stopped hitting, including Mookie Betts. And the bottom of the batting order is freaky. I mean, these guys are hitting 073 and 126 and 186. And so the bottom third of the Dodger batting order is just kind of diggy. Thoughts on the Dodgers?
Thoughts on the Dodgers? Well, first of all, Dustin May, I always love watching that guy. I mean, he throws 101 mile an hour two-seamer that breaks like 12 inches off the plate. It's incredible. And he looks like Carrot Top when he's pitching. It's weird, though, that guys like Chris Taylor, are just stinking up the joint, where that guy has usually been a really productive player. I mean, Max Muncy, too. I mean, how is he doing? His batting average is still not very good, right?
He's doing it on the disabled list. He's got an oblique injury.
Yeah.
But he's hitting in the 258 slot, but he's got power. So therefore he's been pretty productive. So, I mean, we got a lot of baseball to be played. The key, if the Dodgers get another hot streak coming, and I think they've won 14 of their last 20. If the Dodgers get another hot streak coming, they're going to put so much distance between them and anybody else in the National League West. I think it's going to be hard for those guys to come back.
Yeah, I tend to think you're right.
Okay, next topic. Let's talk about the Juan Soto storyline. Juan Soto this week stood up in New York and said, I want to stay here. I want to open contract extension talks right now. Let's get a deal done. He's fit in well. The New York media has accepted him. The pressure points have not been too great. Dude's not hitting 220 at Yankee Stadium like he hit here in San Diego last year. So he likes it there. Hal Steinbrenner, the lead owner, says, I'm willing to sit and talk right now. However, the factor is the agent.
Scott Boras
Never negotiates in season for his clients. He delivers everybody to the free agent starting line November 1st. And here's the wild card in the whole thing. We know he will be out there taking offers, shopping those offers, trying to create a bidding war. Cross town, the New York Mets are representing one of his other clients, and they can't get a deal done for Peter Alonso, home run hitter. Mm-hmm. So the theory is Boras not going to return a call from Hal Steinbrenner. Boras is going to take this thing to November 1st. He's going to take both Soto and Peter Alonso out on the open market and shop them and deliver them other places. And if he can get Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, who's having a miserable spring and summer, bad team, if he can get him to bid, then he can bid on the Mets versus the Yankees, and he can relocate Alonso somewhere else, Wrigley Field or some other ballpark that's willing to pay the guy money. And if that's not enough, he also represents Alex Bregman, Houston star third baseman, who's a walk free agent. And he represents all those guys who have the asterisk next to their name with opt-out clauses, a.k.a. Blake Snell, a.k.a. Cody Bellinger, Corbin Burns, Baltimore Orioles. I mean, Boras has got all these mega guys that he represents. So, to complicate it all comes a story this morning in New York that Steinbrenner is leading a charge to eradicate the luxury tax. He says it's prohibitive. It's not sustainable. Even at Yankee Stadium, their payroll as of lunchtime today was $309 million, $58 million tacked on as a luxury tax. He thinks the luxury tax could go away. So all of a sudden, Steinbrenner says, yeah, I'll talk to Scott Boras right now. 2 days later, he says, this is not sustainable. We can't operate at 309 payroll and pay a $58 million tax on top of that. That has to change. So I'm not sure what to believe and whether or not there's going to be a phone call made, whether Boras would take the phone call, but Soto really likes it there. So, John, just go ahead and give me your reaction.
Well, I wonder if when Soto was here, he, smiled and laughed and liked to say good morning in those little interviews when he was in spring training. But you could kind of tell he didn't really want to be here. And he is where he wants to be. But I'm wondering if these guys are playing their hand, asking for too much, if it's not sustainable for Steinbrenner. I mean, it's not, and we know the Mets are scaling back. Other teams are scaling back. They're not going to be able to afford a $440 million deal that Soto turned down. At what point are we going to max out for these players? I'm wondering if Soto sees the writing on the wall. Maybe he gets to free agency, and the only team that is willing to pay big money is the Yankees. He doesn't have a counterpoint to negotiate against. Maybe he wants to get the deal done right now.
Well, I think that. And I think he looks in the rearview mirror. He sees what happened to Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, J.D. Martinez. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Boras historically has always gotten his guy the next high contract. And of course, Ohtani's contract, even though it says $700 million and deferred and all that, is like $43 million per year. I would assume Soto's contract would be north of $43 million per year that Ohtani is currently getting. But who are the bidders? If it's not the Mets and the Yankees, I don't think it's anybody else.
I agree. Because the Dodgers aren't going to keep ponying up. I mean, they have a limit as well, don't they?
And the Phillies have they got a great team, big contracts for a whole select group of their players, including the two pitchers that they forked out, $170 million apiece.
Yeah.
This past offseason. So this will be fascinating. Next name on the board. This is an intriguing story. We're talking about Josh Hader, ex-Milwaukee Brewer, Josh Hader, ex-Padre, Josh Hader currently with a struggling Houston team, struggling himself. His agent came out behind the curtain this past week, John, while you were drinking Guinness beer in Ireland, and said Milwaukee was unethical in dealing with this guy, and the media has been unfair to my client. And the backstory is Josh Hader, early in his career, was asked to be the Swiss Army knife, your favorite phrase, do a lot of different things out of the pen, close, be a setup guy, be a two-inning guy, etc. And for the most part, he did really well. Statistics were phenomenal. But as he was coming up for arbitration, he had a bad month-and-a-half span. And Milwaukee went to the arbitration hearing, and they pulled out all these statistics, and they killed him at the arbitration table for a month and a half of bad baseball after having done Swiss Army knife stuff for 3 years. And the agent was furious. And Hader, he lost the relationship with the Brewers. And he said, that was unethical. You asked him to do all this. Guy's got 171 career saves, 45% strikeout rate. Opponent's batting average in his career is 159. And you used a month and a half of substandard performances because you overused him. You used it against him in arbitration. And he said, and the media jumped on that story. And this is why this past summer, the big issue about, are we in a pennant race? I'm not pitching more than one inning if we're not in a pennant race, right. And et cetera. And we all responded to Hader being selfish, et cetera. So that's the backstory. And Josh Hader's agent just went freaking public against the way the Milwaukee Brewers treated the guy. Reaction.
I saw that article as well, and it caught my attention because I can't recall any other situation where a player sets limits on how often they're going to be used. Usually, if the manager calls your name, you're in. But I understand the strategy why Hader did what he did. But you look at Robert Suarez on the Padres. He doesn't have a problem going 5 inning saves, 4 inning saves. He doesn't have a problem pitching in a non-save situation with a 4 or 5 run lead. But then Suarez has like a 5-year deal, and it's guaranteed for, what is it, like 45, 50 million bucks.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
So it's an interesting thing. I've just never seen a case where a player can tell a manager, no, I'm not going to play right now. And that just blows me away. But I get it. I understand what it was all about.
And now we have the history of what Craig Counsell did and what the general manager said. And all of a sudden, they're using a bad 3.5 weeks, and he was bad, but that was overuse.
But they've been doing that all the time in arbitration, going way back. They'll cherry pick the bad stuff and use it against them. And that's why a lot of times when they actually go to the arbitrator, the player comes out feeling really bad about the situation, even if they won arbitration, because they were getting nitpicked.
And that's why they tell players, don't go to an arbitration hearing, because you'll hear stuff in that hearing from them across the table that you work for.
Yeah,
you might not want to listen to.
Yeah, that's good. They're not going to share the good stuff if they're negotiating down.
Okay, next topic here in Major League Baseball. We got one more item here. This has got serious implications. You remember this guy, shortstop David Fletcher, Angels, came through the farm system. David Fletcher implicated now with a former minor league player by the name of Colby Schultz betting on sports. Fletcher knew Ohtani's personal aide, knew he was a gambler. They went to casinos and gambled together. They wound up gambling with the illegal bookie, Matthew Boyer. Now we find out MLB is beginning the investigation of David Fletcher specifically. Fletcher said never bet on baseball. He did bet on other sports. Major League Baseball says you can't make bets on anything with an illegal bookie. You want to go to a casino in Atlantic City or Vegas, you can do that. You can't deal with a bookie. Mm-hmm. Now we find out Colby Schultz was betting on baseball, one of his running mates in the minor leagues. Colby Schultz was betting on baseball. Colby Schultz was getting, quote, inside information from David Fletcher, placing bets. That's illegal. The other thing was Fletcher having Schultz place the bets for him. This is deep. And I guess the naiveness of me to think no other players would ever be involved in anything like that has now been flipped, because Fletcher was really tight with Ohtani, his friends in the clubhouse, etc. They didn't run the streets because Ohtani doesn't run the streets. He's a private person. But the fact Fletcher knew Mizuhara, the aide, the gambling addict. Now, I think this is a deeper issue, and you have to wonder if 2 players were involved with Mizuhara, are there others out there? But this is a scary thing for Fletcher, because if they find out that he was providing inside information on injuries to Colby Schultz, and Schultz was placing bets on Angel games, that he was, and on other games based on the data that Fletcher gave him, Fletcher could be in real trouble.
How did you? I don't believe that either. I mean, when they say I didn't bet on baseball, I mean, come on. I mean, if you have that inside information, that'll be the first thing that you'll want to bet on.
Yeah, but you know the end result. You're suspended for life.
Say, well, no one's going to catch me. That's probably what they're thinking, and they're probably having some adult beverages and hanging out with the boys and talking sports and like, oh yeah, here's an inside scoop. That kind of thing happens. I agree with you. If there's 2 guys that are in this, where there's smoke, there's fire. And even when Pete Rose said, well, I did bet on baseball, but I never bet on the Reds to lose. I only bet on the Reds to win.
You
I was
can't
like,
delineate.
Yeah, I know, but how do you enforce that?
I concur. All right, so Fans Forum box is open. If you're an Angel fan or just a baseball fan, are you concerned about the depth now? Because Fletcher has been dragged into this, and a minor league player has been dragged into this with Ohtani's personal aide. So we go from that next.